to let you know about a show on radio, fulfilling your cravings and yearnings on Saturday mornings. The question is, why should you care?
Big deal, because it truly is, and you should as well. Good morning. Welcome to the Saturday morning show on 92.3 Nigeria Info. My name is Sam Opportunity. Now, I know that you've seen many days before now. That's exactly how you got here. And that's why you're as wise as you are, because you're old. There's a certain age attached to your name. But you have never seen the 20th of August 2022. Before today, you've never seen it. Well, here you are. It's a brand new day. I'm hoping that you approach it with brand new perspectives, Hopefully, at the end of today, you have achieved the majority of your goals. Well, on Saturday mornings, we have conversations that matter, as we do every other day, really. And the conversations begin in this hour with Mortal Expedition. It's our program to live, learn, and love. But most importantly, some have dubbed it the 10-point program. This morning is no different, because we'll be taking 10 points that will help get you closer to achieving and fulfilling purpose. At 7 a.m., we have the major news. After that, of course, light conversations happen. A few guests will join me. Your conscience will speak to you at a couple of minutes past 7. It'll take us all the way till 8 o'clock, where we have our election program, Road to 2023, talking about everything connected to the elections. This morning, we'll be looking at the defection that rocked Rivers politics this week. As usual, I'll have my guest with analysis and everything required to do justice to that conversation. 9 o'clock brings Standout with Mr. Patrick. 9:30 is River Takes. And of course, at 10 a.m., I'm out of here. But the fun never ends. Remember that there is the news on every hour. So that is your Saturday morning show package. I'd like to remind you of what we do here. Stay with me.
The difference.
Well, there's a certain advantage to those who follow us online because we stream. You can watch as you listen. You can watch the show live on Facebook and Twitter, of course. Facebook is facebook.com/NigeriaInfoPH, and Twitter is @NigeriaInfoPH. So the topic is already there on the online platform. But for those who are not watching live, well, here goes the topic. Have you heard this question? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'll give you 2 seconds to think about it. Time is up. Have you? I have a feeling that you have. And this is a popular question that job seekers face. You've gone through whatever phase. You're now at the interview stage. You're in the room with who is supposed to be your employer, or a team of people that should be your employers. And while you have a back and forth, where did you go, what school, tell us about yourself, at some point in that interview, they'll ask the question, or a variation of it, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And lots of people don't know how to answer that question. I don't think there's any correct way to answer the question, but I know that there are better ways of doing it. Now, the truth is, it's a trick question because, literally speaking, for you to actually answer that question correctly, it means that you can see the future. You can actually see where you would be in 5 years. And physically speaking, we don't have that gift. We don't have that power. So the question is not to assess your level of correctness, but to know how you think, to know how your mind works. The interviewer just wants to know, how ambitious are you? What they're asking really, that is hidden in where do you see yourself in 5 years, is what are your career goals within this position that you're going for? They want to know if the position will satisfy you, if you work hard to stay with their company for quite some time. They just want to understand if you have the future in mind. So where do you see yourself in 5 years is an important question. And if I ask you that question, what will your answer be? Think on it. You see, but while organizations ask that question, people also ask themselves that question. Sam or Chinedu, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Put your name in the equation. Where would I be? What would I be doing? Would I even be alive? So this morning, our topic, our focus is where do you see yourself in 5 years? Now, we put off our biggest plans to the future. You know, many times the things that maybe we can do now, we leave it to future self. So that guy in the future will handle it. And many times there's a 5-year maturity plan. In 5 years, we can be millionaires, billionaires. We could have our dream home, job, family, investment. We could have the life of our dreams. Would finally and truly be happy. All of these things can happen, but not now, not today, in 5 years, in the future. Now, even though if you don't have a kobo to your name today, it's close to impossible. I don't want to say impossible to wake up a billionaire. Very close to impossible, unless some seeds have been planted. You can be rich, but there's a certain process to get into a certain level. But even for the little things we may be able to achieve this morning or next week, we still want to put off to 5 years. But are there things that belong in 5 years' time in the future? Are there things that belong today? How do we know what we should do now and what we should do tomorrow? Most importantly, how do we properly project or even predict our next 5 years? Because when you attempt to answer that question at the interview, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You're not answering because you know or you have seen. You're answering because you're predicting. Oh, I intend to be here. I hope that I will be doing this. I should have grown through the ranks. It's a projection. At best, it's a prediction. And like those who are fans of soccer, football, predictions are heavy. Oh, my team would win with 3 goals. You're giving a prediction based on how good you know your team plays. You know? So, if you were a football team, would you win the game? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Well, let's head straight to it. There are 10 points as usual. And we begin from the very first. You don't need 5 years to get to the points. We're starting right now.
This is
number 1.
The first question is, where were you 5 years ago? If you're asking yourself, where do you see yourself in 5 years? If you got the question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Ask yourself, where was I 5 years ago? 5 years ago was 2017, I believe. You have to start from there. And while we have this beautiful, perfect 5-year dream, this 5-year goal, let us take stock of the last 5 years. What level of life were you at? Try to remember. Maybe you were in school. Maybe you were at a former job. Maybe you were unemployed. Maybe you were employed and you're not employed now. Compare your last 5 years with today. Because for us to properly project and understand what the future brings, we must study the past. Are you further ahead or further behind? Where you are in life today, is it better than where you were 5 years ago? Or is it worse? What were you doing with your life? If you can be honest with that answer, then it will help you get ready for your next 5 years. Because you didn't just wake up as a human being today. You were born at some point and you grew and you're still growing. So remember your last 5 years before you project your next 5 years. Moving on.
Number 2.
At number 2, after remembering where you were 5 years ago, what was your vision 5 years ago? Now you remember exactly where you were. You know that, I was trekking from here to here. Now I have a car. Things were hard. Now things are soft. Or things were soft. However, while you have remembered exactly where you were, remember what your plan was those 5 years ago. It's possible 5 years ago you also said, where would you be in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? If you made that plan 5 years ago, now answer the question, where you are now, is it where you projected that it will be 5 years ago? And the reason why I love this conversation is because the answer will be different from person to person. Because it's your life we're talking about. Nobody should know that better than you. No one. Did you have specific expectations for your next 5 years? That's 5 years ago. Well, let me actually put in the date. In 2017, did you have specific expectations? What were your targets, projections, visions? By this time in 5 years. Let's even live 5 years. You know, people who are, as we say in church, looking for a life partner, or people who are hoping to get married, most times when they think about their marriage, which they are hoping happens, they use words like, by this time next year. At that time, they may have not met a person yet. You know, there might be nothing concrete, but they just say, before December, before this year ends. There's always a projection of when you believe this challenge you're going through would have been surmounted. And many times it does work out. But you see, we have a lot of hope in the future. I feel like if the future could speak, you'd be like, listen, thanks for the credit and all, but if you don't handle present properly, I'm sorry. So what was your specific vision? You see, it is when you can remember what your goal was that you can actually know whether or not you are successful. Now, don't get me wrong. It's possible you're in a better standing than you were yesterday, right? It's possible that you're doing way better, but it might not count as success for you because it has to connect to your target. So let's say you have a business, and for 2022, you say, this year, we intend to make 2 million. 2 million naira. Just for example. If you close the year making 1.9 million naira, now you have made some money. It's possible you've made profit. But based on your target, you have not succeeded. Because your projection, your plan was 2 million. And people might say, sir, but we made more money. Say, yes, we did make more money. But we projected 2 million. If in the year you now make 3 million, of course, you're very successful. You've hit your target and you've surpassed it. It also doesn't mean that making 1.9 million, means that there has been no progress. But the goal that you set for yourself, you were not able to hit. So while you might be further ahead today than you were 5 years ago, is it exactly where you said you would be? Has it exceeded that expectation? Did you hit the target that you set for yourself? That is, of course, if you set a target. So what was your
Number 3.
To properly answer, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You should be involved in politics. Now you're saying, huh? Yes, indeed you should. I'm not saying you should be a card-carrying member of a political party, but if you have to be, by all means. I'm saying this expression, politics is a dirty game. I have no business in politics. I'm not interested. No. I have to think twice. You know why? Because your life, your business, your family is, not would be affected, is affected by leadership and politics. It is affected. If you're a businessman, all it takes is one government policy, just one, not two, to make you or mar you. The next president of Nigeria has a direct impact on your life. The next governor of your state or the state you live in. That the house you built in so and so place is not demolished. It's just one directive. So if you're going to properly plan for your next 5 years and believe that you will be at so and so level, then you must be involved in politics. You must be connected to the decision making of leadership. In other words, you must get your PVC. Because as we say here in NigeriaInfo, your vote is your voice. You have to. Next 5 years is quite some time. It involves your future, the future of your family, and too many things you're connected to. So you need to be certain. Now, there are no assurances. There's no certainty that the person who you vote for will take you to the promised land. But at least you know that you were a part of the people who brought this person into power, or if your candidate does not win, who was against the one who won. You need to have a say. So where do you see yourself in 5 years? Ask that question differently. What is your voting power today? We can't have a 5-year plan, an effective one that you intend to achieve without considering the political direction of your country, your constituency. So get involved in politics as the most important player in politics and leadership. And what is that? The citizen. I know that you are raised to think differently thanks to the unique intricacies of Nigeria's politics, but believe me, the citizen has the highest power. It's not even an original quote. I didn't say it. I'm just repeating it because it's the truth. So I don't vote. I don't get involved. Nope. If you're concerned about your next 5 years, you need to. You need to. Moving on.
Number 4.
At number 4 is your family. Oh my goodness. Your family. Where do I see myself in the next 5 years? What part does your family play in this 5 years of yours? Religion, career, and family have proven to have the most profound impact on a person's life. Religion, how you worship. Career, what you do for a living. And family. You can't think or talk about your next 5 years with your family missing in action. You cannot. I want to be this, I want to be that. It's beautiful. Where does your family come to play? Your children are your legacy. They are a reflection of your choices today and your emotions tomorrow. So while you're making these wonderful plans, don't make a plan that does not cover or concern family. Don't be selfish. You have a son today, you have a daughter, you started a family, and in this 5-year plan of yours, they're not mentioned at any point. There's a problem. Rethink, re-strategize, plan again. Because it will not be nice that you're alone in 5 years. It will not at all.
Number 5.
Well, it's difficult to talk about projections, visions, without talking about investments. Number 5 is investment. Nothing says planning for the future like investment. Financial investment, actually, because there are different kinds. Of course, we all want a better financial future. It's possible if you made plans 5 years ago, your plans were also along the lines of, have more money. It's very possible. We want a better life. We want more money. We want to take 6-month holidays twice a year. anywhere in the world, and we want to be able to afford it. It's a beautiful place to find yourself. It is. So you must think financial investment. What can I start now? Where can I put money now that could pay me in a few years? Grow with time, that matures. And investment works with time. It is a belief that something that costs little today will cost a lot tomorrow. It is a belief that the 1 naira you put somewhere today will give you 10 naira tomorrow. But that 1 naira has to grow, has to mature, has to be put in a sector that is viable. And many times, people give themselves 5-year projections. The problem is, Nigerians have a crazy relationship with investment because we have many platforms that have come and scattered people. So you must do your due diligence, study the platform, understand. One of the most viable sectors, real estate. Everybody talks about it, yes, and there are lots of crazy people. But it is a viable sector. The two places I'm interested in, real estate and technology. Because that's where the world is moving. You know, a couple of years ago, data became more valuable than oil. If that's the case, then you know that the biggest companies in the world are technology companies. And you know that, okay, this is a sector that is really moving. So, but do your reading, do your findings, research. Put your money somewhere. Because in the next 5 years, to live that life that you want to, money has to be a part of the mix. For real estate, I'm an ambassador and player with a real estate company, a partner rather. So if you're interested, Sam, I don't know, reach out to me. Send me a message on social media. I have this amount. What can I do with this? I can guide you through. It's one of the things I do. So what you need to invest, make smart investment decisions. Moving on.
Number 6.
After making financial investment, the next investment you should make on yourself, if you want to arrange your next 5 years, you want to properly answer, where do you see yourself in 5 years, is to invest in yourself. Now you have put money somewhere. Put some value on yourself. Get certified, licensed, qualified, whatever you need to excel and grow in your chosen career path. Just move up the ladder. That place you're trying to get employed into, where they asked you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? If you hold one position for 5 years, there's a problem. Well, especially if there's a growth system. When you came in 5 years ago, you were at level A. 5 years done, you're still at level A. Like, okay, bros, what's going on? Get a different job title. I'm not saying leave the job. A different job title. So maybe you were whatever worker. Now you can be manager. It's a different title. Same career. Read the books you need to read. Attend the seminars you need to attend. Take that course. Be better at what you're already good at. I'm not telling you to try something new, even though if that's what you need to do, by all means. But be better. This is what I know how to do. I'm already good here. Be better at it. You cannot conquer the next 5 years with the knowledge you have now. You need to upgrade. So invest in yourself so that you can properly answer the question, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Number 7.
I won't spend too long on number 7 because you've heard it too many times from the experts. Have a health and fitness plan, a health and fitness goal. None of your plans will come to fruition. None of them. Your 5-year plan, your 10-year plan, your future plan, none will come to fruition if 1, you're sick, or 2, you're dead. Yes, indeed. So make a conscious effort, and as basic as this may sound, to stay alive. Eat right, live right, do all the things you need to do. Get a health cover, some form of health insurance. I advertise this as many times because I have been a beneficiary. It has saved my life. Prioritize proactive health. Go for health checks. Go to hospital when you are not sick. Don't be rushed to a hospital. Go for a test. And this one is important. Avoid jobs that put you in danger. There are some people, the kinds of jobs that they do, it won't be long, they will die. They're exposed to some kind of danger. You just see some people on social media climbing things without... Just be careful the kind of jobs you take, please. Stay alive. Very important. Moving on.
Number 8.
At number 8, your 5-year plan, where you see yourself in 5 years, your dreams and goals for the future should be modifiable. You should be able to tweak it. The plan is for you. You are not for the plan. As you set benchmarks for your specific goals, at some point you might need to adjust it. You might need to tweak it. Life can give you, and it will always give you reasons to adjust your plans. Let's say, for example, you have a goal to paint a house. Say, I'll go paint this house next month. Then something happens. This month, the house collapses. There's an earthquake or whatever happens. That house does not exist anymore. You cannot sustain that plan to paint the house anymore because there's no more house. And it's not always an example in the negative. It could be something good as well. Life would always give you reasons why that's your goal should be modified. Your new plan now would be along maybe getting a new house or something. But you cannot sustain that goal of painting the house that does not exist anymore. So while we're making these plans, you see that life will take you in positions where some of these goals will not be necessary anymore. So you need to be able to adjust it. If you stick by saying, I go still paint the house, you would be a foolish person, really. So make sure that your plans are modifiable.
Number 9.
And number 9, make it plain. Make sure your goal is written somewhere. Studies claim that you're 42% more likely to achieve your goals if you write them down. So while you're making these goals, have you written it down somewhere? Write it down. Write the vision, make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. It's in the Holy Book. Habakkuk 2:2 if you need context. Writing down your goals narrows your focus. It keeps you motivated and accountable. Most importantly, if you don't write it, you can forget it. I said it one day. I had an old jotter. I think I was cleaning my house and I saw, I said, wow. And I opened the pages of that jotter. Some of the dreams and plans that I had that I had forgotten. Some have been achieved, some, well, they never came to fruition. I'm like, wow, I was thinking this at some point. Exactly. So while you have those plans today, write it down. Make it plain. And of course, we are at the final, the God factor.
Number 10.
And number 10, of course, as I always call it, is the God factor. Your spiritual goals. In the next 5 years, in the last 5 years, what are your spiritual goals? What were your spiritual goals from 5 years ago? And what are your spiritual goals for the next 5 years? Do you pray better? Do you study the word better? Do you know God better? Do you have a better relationship and understanding of your Maker? You should consider that as well. So where do you see yourself in 5 years? Don't tell me. Show me. Project and predict the future and do it right. I'll run through 10 points very quickly and then take 1 or 2 calls. 1, where were you 5 years ago? 2, what was your vision 5 years ago? 3, you should be involved in politics. 4, your family should be carried along. 5, financial investment. 6, invest in yourself. 7, have a health and fitness goal. 8, your plan should be modifiable. 9, make it plain. That means you should write it down. And of course, 10, the God factor. Factor in your spiritual goals. And that is how to see yourself well in 5 years. I'll take 1 or 2 calls. I have literally 30 seconds. They should end at 7:45. I beg your pardon, 6:45. 0817-923-0002. When you call, hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, what's your name?
Yes, Ajako calling from the router.
Right, Ajako. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I pick up the 7th point that is have a healthy and a fitness plan.
Okay.
Yes, while I'm pursuing my plan and goal, I must make sure that I live in a healthy environment, eat better food, pursue something that will not damage my life, make sure that I take care of have my bed, not being dirty. There are some people who ignore themselves, they don't want to eat. Every time they are starving. Why are you pushing yourself?
Thank you very much, but I have to go now. Let's project and properly predict our future. Stay with me.
Good day and welcome. We have people from La Buena Vida, and with us today is Dr. Juliet Eliku, a lecturer and a consultant with the